back to the 30-day poetry challenge. This is day 3, and I hope you're having fun, possibly using one of the prompts that I gave you yesterday. One being, I want to write about this because, and 2, these are all the ways that I'm not perfect. Continue with those if you're still working on them, but I have something else that I wanted to offer to you. So one of the things that has always come through in my writing, one of the themes, and this is definitely a time that you can start to think about the themes in your writing, like why is it that certain things keep coming up? What attracts you to them? And I can only use the example that I have in my life, which is number 1, nature in general, and number 2, animals. I have written a lot of poems from the perspective of animals because I'm actually a Reiki practitioner, and one of the things that I started working with when I was just a student was totems. So that's like looking at the energy of a fox, the energy of an orca, and understanding totems is just about understanding the natural wisdom or the instincts that they have. So if you're working with those type of energies, it's a very simple discussion of why is this animal important. So one of the ways that that I would start to understand a particular animal was to write a poem from their perspective. So I wrote poems from the perspective of bears and wolves and deer and fox, owls, all of those things. And the thing I really like about it is it's a combination of taking what you know about an animal, where its habitat is, what its behaviors are, what its natural inclinations are. How does it learn? How does it procreate? How does it, interact with other animals and other species? It's such an interesting way to learn about the natural world, and to take those things and then to apply them to a lesson that maybe something you're trying to understand, basically. And then you take all of those things that you know about an animal, and then you have this nice slice of the other 50% of the poem, which is imagination. Because if you're talking about speaking from the point of view of an animal, what would it be seeing? What perhaps could it be thinking? And there's this nice interplay of things that you might know and things that you don't know. So it gives you this freedom to explore, which is what I love to do. You can also do this with elements of nature, and I've done this a lot, particularly with trees. So what is the life cycle of a birch tree in comparison to the life cycle of an oak tree? Because they're very different. I wrote a story where there was a birch and there was a maple having a discussion. So I completely personified those two characters, and it was just using a lot of things that I knew or that I researched. And don't be afraid to research. Get on Google and say, what is the life expectancy of a birch, and you learn something, and then you can take that, and it gives you a boost to your imagination because you have something to work with. So you're not just starting with the blank page. You're saying, I am really interested in fig trees. Research fig trees, get excited about something, and then when you write about it, it gives you a chance to explore that excitement. So it's another way that you can kind of get out of the headspace of the critical part of you that is saying, what am I doing? And gets you excited, so you kind of forget about why you're doing what you're doing, and you're just doing it. You're just getting yourself involved. And if poetry and poets in general are the best teachers, I consider Mary Oliver to be one of the best teachers out there for me. She was very, very inspirational. She wrote many essays and prose and poems, and I have a collection. She's an American poet, and she's passed away now, but she wrote very specifically about the wisdom of nature and the wisdom of animals, and from the perspective of animals and nature, and very informed. So she took all of her emotions, all of her ideas, and she filtered them through this theme, and it just works so well, because not only are you taking an emotional moment, you know, for example, I could write an emotional poem not about nature and animals, and it would work fine, but it just makes it even more interesting when you put that through a different perspective, a different filter. So today I'm going to read you one of my favorite poems, and you'll be able to see how she imaginatively plays with the idea of the perspective. And it is called White Owl Flies Into and Out of a Field. Coming down out of the freezing sky with its depths of light, like an angel or a Buddha with wings, it was beautiful and accurate, striking the snow and whatever there was with a force that left the imprint of the tips of its wings 5 feet apart, and the grabbing thrust of its feet, and the indentation of what had been running through the white valleys of the snow. And then it rose gracefully and flew back to the frozen marshes, to lurk there like a little lighthouse in the blue shadows. So I thought, maybe death isn't darkness after all, but so much light wrapping itself around us, as soft as feathers, that we are instantly weary of looking and shut our eyes, not without amazement, and let ourselves be carried as through the translucence of mica to the river, that is without the least dapple or shadow, that is nothing but light, scalding aortal light, in which we are washed and washed out of our bones. So obviously on the surface, this is about a white owl that flies into and out of the field and its prey. But this was a poem, this was a collection of poetry that was very important to me when my grandmother was passing away, because I was thinking a lot about death. And yes, when you write about nature and animals, you do write about the natural life cycles of things, which I think lends itself a lot to a way to talk about death that's not talking about death in terms of human intricacies. So I have used poetry because there's been a lot of losses in my life. I lost my dad. He passed away when I was 19, and I lost my partner when I was 34. So poetry has been my go-to, and sometimes it's easier to take something like grief and to put it into a poem like this that is through the filter of, you know, a tree losing its leaves, you know. So think about the things that you want to write about. So go back to that list. You know, I want to write about these things because, but now the question is how? How do you want to write about these things? Because you can now play. So whether it's through a perspective of nature, whether it's through a perspective of animals, whatever it is, explore, get excited about it. Make it be something that you are excited about. Rather, get involved with it and really find whatever magic is in it that makes you want to write about it. So for me, reading that poem and writing the poem, my question is, what are the things that amaze me about this animal? What are the things that I find that I am in awe of, that where's the wonder of this particular piece of nature? You know, I may geek out about, you know, totems and animals and all those kind of things, but to me, so for example, you know, I get excited about animal totems and the natural world and instinct, because I like the fact that I wrote about a skunk, because I was writing about the feeling of wanting someone just to back off and give me space. And the reason that the skunk came up when I read about it is very powerful. It has a very, very effective weapon, because it can spray in 250 feet in all directions. That is somebody that you want to stay away from when it doesn't want you anywhere near. So it was a perfect vehicle for me to talk about boundaries. So what is it that you want to write about mentally, emotionally, physically, and we're going to just put it through a sieve of whatever it's going to be. If it's animals or nature, that's great. If it's something else, I want to see it. I really would love to see people's work. So post it up here or send it to me. Send it to me directly at www.brave.creative.kelly@gmail.com, and let's talk poetry. All right, have fun with your themes, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful journey into poetry. And I'd like to wish you good luck with your own writing and poetry projects. Please subscribe so you don't miss a day. And thank you so much.